Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 25 career mode here on the channel. I hope you all having a great day. Today we take on Imola. As you see, several teams including Aston Martin bring in some upgrades this weekend as we're coming off of two back-to-back third place efforts in Saudi Arabia and Miami.
Hello and welcome
But we have
to
some
Imola, the home
concerning
of Ferrari,
developments
the home
here
of
on
Tifosi.
this
We're
team
about to
coming
get
into
ready for
this
practice,
weekend
and it's
that
great to have you with
I
us.
am a little bit worried for just the rest of the season, to be completely honest, and that is the fact that we have no more upgrades to make to this car without 60% recognition. So a part of my contract staying on this season at Connor Sport was a 50% split of recognition between myself and teammate of Aiden Jackson. Well, to do any more upgrades, I need 60% recognition. I'm going to assume it's the same case for my teammate of Aiden Jackson. So therefore, we have capped the development of this Connor Sport car. We cannot possibly make this car any faster throughout the rest of this season. And we just saw that Aston Martin have brought some upgrades, and McLaren and Ferrari and Mercedes, like, they're going to be able to continue to bring upgrades while we are not going to be able to do that. So in what we thought was a great start to the season, a championship potential season, has quickly turned into, if the other teams continue to develop, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I think we're going to have to hope that there is some kind of, regulation change on the way at the end of the season. Not because it gives us, hope going into next season. Well, no, the career mode's ending after this season because we'll be moving into the F1 26 DLC. The hope is that teams will stop their development for this season to focus on adapting parts for the next season. So we're in trouble, to say the least. And all of a sudden, it looks like our championship run could be in jeopardy before we've even reached Monaco and Montreal and whatnot. So there is some concerns, that's for sure. As we come into qualifying though, and we can't let that bother us too much. We just got to go out and we got to do what we can do because, at the end of the day, we saw it last season. Even teams that were a little bit behind in the R&D were able to still win races and fight up front. So I still think we're going to be able to do that throughout the course of the season. But we're definitely going to fall behind a little bit. And I think, the way we're going to have to win a championship is just, elbows out and, be willing to do more, behind the wheel and around other drivers than other drivers are willing to do themselves. And as we come through here into qualifying, putting a surprisingly good effort together in the wet conditions here in Q2, and we would come through to slip into Q3, actually knocking out my teammate of Aiden Jackson, and your championship leader, Charles Leclerc, out in Q2, Antonelli Colapinto out as well. Now, by the end of Q3, the rain had stopped and the track was actively drying, and we were the last one of the top 10 to get out onto the racetrack, which is a huge advantage to me because the track is getting drier and drier by the second. Everyone else has come through to complete their laps already, and I've got 3/4 of a lap still of the track getting drier for me to be able to get a better lap time. So if I don't screw this up, it should be quite simply a guaranteed pole position. And right now Max Verstappen is P6, Behrman, Russell there in 8th and 9th, and like I said, I just got to really finish out this lap and we should be on pole. I mean, we're 4 seconds up right now, and I believe that would be just Max Verstappen's time. So as we round the final couple of turns, we have the best track available, and as we head down this front straightaway to the start finish line, this should be the easiest pole of my life as we cross the line. And you can see my reaction. I see the steering wheel. It's P1 by nearly 2 seconds over Lando Norris. We'll share the front row with him, and we have a huge opportunity to make up ground on Charles Leclerc this weekend. The Williams there in 4th and 6th. Let's head to the grid.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters wearing red today, and they've all turned out for what we're expecting will be a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. One lap of Imola, anti-clockwise of course, unlike most Formula One circuits, will take our drivers round 3.1 miles of track. 19 turns, 9 right-handers and 10 to the left. Drivers will need to be precise at the hairpin at turn 7, given the subsequent uphill section. Without a good exit from that corner, they'll lose a lot of time on that stretch. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Golden Boy lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Tsunoda, Sainz, Oscar Piastri and Albon, Verstappen, Behrman, Russell and Aiden Jackson, Leclerc, Gasly, Lance Stroll and Colapinto, Antonelli, Hülkenberg, Gabriel Bortoleto and Liam Lawson, Ocon, Doohan, Hadjar and Paul Aaron rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right then, we're ready to go racing, starting on the mediums, jumping onto the hards, taking some fuel out of the car, and I'm going to be curious to see how this is going to work out because, the Lando Norrises and the Oscar Piastri, their McLaren has been so strong, and of course we share the front row with a McLaren, so it's going to be hard, I think, to beat Lando down into turn 1 if he just gets the start that he needs to get right here. You got Carlos Sainz as well in the Williams. Be curious to see what happens there. How about Yuki Tsunoda in P3, of course, in his first season with Ferrari. Now he has been, on a different team every season of this career mode here now, and he's been looking, continuously better at Ferrari as the season progresses on, as we come through to the end of the grid and ready to go racing here for the first of 2 Italian Grand Prix on the season. And Williams is a team that continues to shine as well. Don't rule them out here this weekend now as the pair of AlphaTauris roll up to the back of the grid there with that Ford power, and we're ready to go racing here for 32 laps now. 4 different teams make up your top 4, and here we go. We're racing here from Imola. A bit of a slip out of the rear tires allows Lando Norris to immediately clear me on the run into turn number 1. Not even a contest right there. We show the nose, but it's already job done by Lando. Tsunoda in 3rd over Piastri, and as well Carlos Sainz over Max Verstappen there in 5th and 6th. Verstappen trying to get the elbows out right off the bat to get himself forward, knowing how important it is here in this opening lap to gain track position. Verstappen, sure enough, is through into the 5th position behind the Australian of Oscar Piastri, my teammate of Aiden Jackson, outside the top 10, just on the front nose right now of the Monegasque of Charles Leclerc and that Ferrari, and Lando Norris is running away right off the bat here, looking very strong in that McLaren now, as we have already got some pressure here from Yuki Tsunoda in the Ferrari as we come through to the back half of the circuit to complete this opening lap now. And right off the bat, it feels like even just on lap 1, I can kind of tell we are on a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to straight line speed. And Yuki and Oscar and Max, those 3 guys specifically, I think, are going to be all over us here. And Oscar Piastri is actually right up the back of Yuki Tsunoda, and he would pass Yuki Tsunoda on the front straightaway right here and move up into P3, and then he would very quickly run me down as well. So as we are approaching lap 3, I'm already concerned he's going to get past me with the DRS assistance as well. This is not even going to be a contest, but Yuki Tsunoda only 8/10 back as well. We're sitting duck. We've already drained plenty of our battery. Here comes Piastri, clears us for P2. Tsunoda through to 3rd, but he's got such a big run. He's going to bring that run to the outside of Piastri into turn 1. Clears them. We get right to the back of the Australian. Carlos Sainz has actually got in front briefly of Max Verstappen, but Verstappen would be able to defend and get back in front here now as we come through at this point now, midway through lap 3, and I'm just struggling. I am losing ground to Piastri and Tsunoda, and now Verstappen's passing me, and you can see I'm making a change right there on the downforce. So that was, really the only thing we can do at this point to try and get a little bit more straight line speed is reduce the downforce on the car and hope that that will make a bit of an improvement. But now you can see Verstappen passing Tsunoda into 3rd, and that allows me, when they go wheel to wheel into turn 1, they lose so much time, and it allows me to pull up right to the back of them. And at this point in time, come lap 6, Piastri, Verstappen, Tsunoda all right here together. No one's really been able to drive away. We have at least been able to maintain DRS. So we're at least holding on to 5th, while Lando Norris is driving away as Yuki Tsunoda really slowing up there into the chicane as I've got Ollie Behrman only a few tenths of a second behind myself, and same for Carlos Sainz, but they would actually start battling and that would allow us to drive away from Sainz and Behrman now, and we had broken the DRS on them as my teammate of Aiden Jackson currently finds himself in 8th place. Tsunoda struggling, checking up again there, going into the chicane, and has become the lap 8. We're going to use the DRS and overtake to pass him. Meanwhile, Verstappen still working on getting past Oscar Piastri, and he's going to go around the outside and take the spot into turn 1. So Verstappen up into P2. The question is, can he maybe now drive away? The answer was yes. Verstappen opening up a little bit of a gap here by about 5 to 6 tenths of a second come towards the later half of lap 8. So he would be able to also keep Piastri at bay down the front straightaway. So therefore now he's got all this lap right here to start opening up a gap, and it seems like Verstappen, although he's in P2, he's clearly got a lot of speed, as you saw a big slide out of the rear right there. And unfortunately for me, I've got Yuki Tsunoda hot on my tail again here, starting this 10th lap, and he's going to go looking to the right side, but I was able to get a move up the inside on Piastri. Big slide, but we take P3 just when Tsunoda was about to pass us. We had a huge run on the McLaren, and we take over P3, fighting as hard as I can. Norris already over 11 seconds in front by the end of lap 10 here, and Verstappen has gotten out of DRS and is driving away, and unfortunately I could not repeat what he did, and Piastri's going to get me back, and Tsunoda's going to get me back. We're probably going to be racing with these guys for the remainder of this race. We just don't have the speed to get away from them, and as long as I have the DRS, we should be able to stick with them. So you're just going to continue to see this back and forth. And again, we're going around the outside here of Tsunoda into turn 1, lap 12. Actually, Piastri had opened up a bit of a gap at this point, so I was a bit surprised by that because we had been holding on pretty well. And as we come through to the tail end of lap 12, though, we had actually gotten back into DRS range of Piastri. Nearly broke DRS, by the way, on Tsunoda, but unfortunately came up a little bit short, so now he's still going to be able to put pressure on myself. Now is Charles Leclerc going forward, passing Carlos Sainz. Hold that thought. Smoke pouring out of the back of the Ferrari, and their reliability issues from last season come into this season. It's going to be race over. That is going to close up this championship quite a bit here following this race. And that's door open. You know, for me, it's door open for even Oscar Piastri, but especially me, Verstappen, and as well Lando Norris, as we are now coming into the pits at the end of this 14th lap. You see my tire warning has actually come on, and again, I have still got Yuki Tsunoda here hot on my tail as we head in towards the end of this lap, and he's putting on some pressure. I'll be curious to see if he follows me into the pit lane, as right now I can confirm Lando Norris has come in, Max Verstappen has come in, and we are going to come in. Piastri, Tsunoda, they're going to go long, as my teammate of Aiden Jackson has been reeling all of us in here over the course of the last few laps as he has gotten himself forward. So we're pitting just shy of halfway here in Imola now, and we'll get this hard tire on, get ourselves back onto the racetrack now, and it's a 2.4 second pit stop, not bad at all. And as we rejoin the racing surface now, we've got pretty clear track around us. We will probably run down Jack Doohan and Paul Aaron over the course of this lap, and we would do exactly that. We would get right up to the back of these guys here, coming up towards, going up the elevation. Bit of a slide out of the rear right there of the Alpine, but not close enough to make a lunge into the chicane. So we're going to be stuck behind Doohan. Actually drove right into the back of the poor guy, like an idiot there. But Piastri's in, Tsunoda's in, and Jackson's in. These guys in front of me, they come in now as well. So as we head down the front straightaway, let's see if we do an undercut. No, it's not going to happen. We're going to come out behind Tsunoda and Piastri. Now keep in mind, we should have a little bit more straight line speed because we made a downforce adjustment. However, we now have a new issue. With that downforce adjustment, I have gotten a lot tighter, a lot more understeer through the corners, and that was something I was struggling to get used to over the first few laps of this run, and that was allowing Tsunoda and Piastri to drive away, and like more than drive away. They were gone. They had driven 2 seconds away from me at this point, and my teammate of Aiden Jackson was running me down as we've got yellows on the run into turn number 1 actually now, and that is one of the Alpha Tauris that's going to be done for the day with a mechanical failure right there. We'll wait and see who it is. It's Isaac Hadjar. Day over for Hadjar as my teammate of Aiden Jackson has run me down and really is going to be in prime position right here to make an overtake now in the next few moments. And as we come through the chicane, Jackson's right on me. He's not even going to wait for the DRS, but unfortunately, I'm ahead of him at the DRS detection point, meaning when we go down this front straightaway right here, he's going to continue to drive away because he's also going to have DRS. So I'm going to have to really use my battery to just try and stick with him whatsoever here now, as he was continuing to drive away from me, and he was running down Yuki Tsunoda as well as Oscar Piastri. Now up front, Max Verstappen. He is closing in on Lando Norris, but I think without some help, without a safety car, he's just going to run out of time. He's not going to be able to get there. My teammate of Aiden Jackson had driven down both Tsunoda and Piastri, and actually briefly had passed them both, but we know how it's going to go. They're going to get in a back and forth train of passing each other on the front straightaway. So as we're coming up towards the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix, those three being kind of clumped together and battling is allowing me to close the gap just little by little every single lap. So we should be able to get ourselves up there to these guys in the tail end of this race and have an opportunity to maybe fight a little bit now. But Oscar Piastri had actually been able to drive away from both Jackson and Tsunoda by lap 24 out of DRS range. And now it had just turned into a 4th and 5th place battle between Jackson and Yuki. And you can see the gap right now to Tsunoda, about 1.5 seconds here as we are just grinding this thing out. This has not been the race that we were hoping for. Started P1, we're down to P6, but we're reeling in the Ferrari and my teammate in the Connor Sport, and I think we can beat them both if we can time this right and just play our cards right with the front straightaway DRS and whatnot. So it's not going to be a podium day. It's still going to be a gain technically in the championship. I mean, with Leclerc being out of the race, so there is a small positive to take away. And you know, we got some races going forward. Monaco, that's going to be an opportunity for this team, even if we're lacking a little bit of upgrade potential. Canada's one I got circled. We have had 2 disastrous races at Canada in this career mode, so I'm hopeful we can turn that around. But come lap 27, we have reeled in Tsunoda and Jackson. We're now into the DRS area. So as we come through to lap 28, we continue to watch these two battle, and that brings me right up to the back of my teammate of Aiden Jackson. And Piastri is still just a little ways out of range now, up in front of us as we are coming to just 4 laps to go this time by. And now we have recharged our entire battery. And as we come through to lap 29, again, you see Jackson going around Tsunoda. But now I'm just like, okay, we got to just get ready to try and drain this battery down the front straightaway, get a good run out of that final turn, and try to pass Tsunoda or Jackson, whoever's in front of us, and then go after the next guy the lap after. But we are now with 3 laps to go, coming to 2 to go. We are going to have to make a move on one of these guys at 2 laps to go, and it looks like it's going to be Aiden Jackson. And as we now continue to just kind of lurk behind these guys, also, we're all getting closer to Oscar Piastri, who seems to be struggling in the late going of this race. We're coming to just 2 laps to go here from Imola now. Norris continues to lead. Now we're going to drain our battery. Jackson with DRS is going to pass Tsunoda, and with 2 to go, we're going to have a huge run on the back of the Ferrari, and we'll pass the Japanese driver into turn number 1. That's 1 down. 1 more to go at least with Aiden Jackson. We got to stick with him. We got to save our battery as much as possible, and we would be hovering around 70% as we were coming through to the final lap of this Grand Prix. Now out of the final turn, and Jackson's going to be a sitting duck. He's got no DRS now. Here we go. White flag in the air, and we've got the DRS open. We have got the battery on overtake. It's going to be close in towards turn 1. We pull out a line. Wheel to wheel. Jackson actually lets us have it there into turn 1, and we retake the 4th position. Can we run down Oscar Piastri before this is over? Probably not. 1.4 seconds. I think we can get close because it's clear he's struggling in the late going, but I just don't think we're going to be able to get there. Lando Norris, well, it's all him today as he had his gap cut down to 5 seconds in a gap that was over 12 seconds to second at one point, showing you the speed of Verstappen, but it's not enough. Lando Norris wins in Imola, your defending champion, back on top. Max Verstappen will be P2, and Oscar Piastri, unfortunately, going into the chicane. I realized right here I'm just not going to be able to get him, and I had a monstrous final lap time here and was able to drive a second and then some away from Aiden Jackson, over 2 seconds to Tsunoda, and within a few car lengths of Piastri. We rebound to 4th, just not the day we were looking for. Struggled for pace, struggled for straight line speed all day long, and we bring it home in P4. But again, I've said it before, that's how we're going to win championships right there, is days where we just don't seem to have the speed, but we find a way to kind of, bring the effort forward and gain a few spots in these races. And, it's not even a podium, but it's still a 4th place effort, and I'm still pretty proud of what this team did here today. But obviously, we talked about it earlier in the episode, we cannot make this car any better throughout the course of the season, and that is going to be the big concern, and I just don't know what our path forward is going to be. I think we're just going to have to win the championship by getting really aggressive, as you see the rest of your finishing order. The Williams in 7th and 8th, Russell in 9th, and Antonelli actually putting together a solid race there in P12, as you see Leclerc and Hadjar at the bottom of the grid. Now with Leclerc's DNF, Verstappen now up on top by 2 points over Norris, 7 over myself, 9 over Charles Leclerc. 16 back for Piastri, who's clawed his way back into the conversation, and as well McLaren lead us by 53 points as we're just 12 points clear of Ferrari. Next episode, Monaco. If we can put qualifying together, we can win that race and get ourselves up towards the lead of the championship. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.
I'm stuck in my head, need an exit.